Before I lose you to the rest of the algorithm, I would implore you to hang on a little bit. Look, life is stressful, a lot of different challenges, and I'll be real with you. This video is unscripted. First video of this kind I ever done, and it's something that I've been with recently figuring out, and I'd love to tell you all about it because it's something that completely opened up my life. So, the topic of this video, as the title will probably be, is about de-stressing. And the thing about distressing, as I can hear myself, so we will put these to the side. The thing about de-stressing is it is something that is insanely hard to do. Um, Honestly, we as humans are people that can deal with stress very easily because it's kind of how we always have. I mean, if you think before all of the social media and before all the comforts that we have now, as even now, I sit on a very comfortable chair on a nice desk facing a camera and nice shelter. I mean, it's raining outside and you can't even tell. Before all of that, we, as our ancestor did, had to deal with stresses. I mean, you had to comprehend so many different things and stay mentally grounded. I mean, we're talking about, um, you know, you're probably, as a caveman in a cave, right? You can hear the rain shattering down, but you also kind of have to keep in your mind, okay, there might be a predator right outside coming through, or you're thinking, how do I scavenge for food tomorrow, and where should I go? And then also you have to think about keeping your fire alight, and then you also have to think about how you're going to feed your kid, right? But then you also have to remember that, hold on, my weapon broke, so I need to find more stone to figure that out, right? On top of that, you gotta figure out, okay, where are the predators at when I'm scouring for food tomorrow so I don't die? Different things like that, right? And those are just a few things. Now, obviously, I am not a caveman. You are not a caveman. I don't know every single detail, but I can tell you that they went under a lot of stress. And as humans, because of that, we are used to dealing with a lot of stress. Okay? The thing is, as humans, if we never learned how to deal with so much stress properly, we just would never have survived until this point. But that is the problem, is that we're so predisposed to that. The thing is, I was a very high stress person on myself. Part of the reason is because I'm currently seeking a computer science degree, so I have to work like a dog, and I'm competing with people that have such a head start on me, or I have to build up my portfolio somehow, and that requires time, that requires effort, and that requires a lot of learning. Plus, I have to keep up with university studies and still have a life, right? So, that, plus, as a kid, I've always thought that being the best is like everything, right? I mean, when you're a kid, going through elementary, middle, high school, grades are your number one focus, or at least your parents tell you that grades are your number one focus. And because of that, you are pressured to do as much as you possibly can, as high as you possibly can. For me, I was a good student, um, a very good student, up until about my sophomore year. And then after that, in my junior year, I completely tanked because of one class, and I loved skipping. And then I realized, hold on, I need to get into a good college with a good scholarship. So I locked in senior year, made sure I didn't have senioritis, and luckily everything worked out. But what that made me do what that put me into a lifestyle is this. I became somebody that put all the stress, okay? I was a person that did a lot of things. I mean, I'll tell you this. Up until recently, I was somebody that was living in this high stress mindset of just constantly being in high stress that I was so used to doing. I mean, literally, my stress was like humongous, but it felt like that's kind of how it was, you know? And I wasn't feeling the effects of it, or I thought I wasn't feeling the effects of it. But here's the thing, it catches up to you in small ways, you know? I would notice I'd miss a deadline and I'd fucking freak out, you know what I'm saying? Even though I had everything planned and I was in the middle of it. I remember I'd be working on assignments late, go to sleep, and I'd wake up at like 10 and the deadline was 9 a.m. And I wake up at 10 a.m. the next day and I'm freaking out getting the assignment done late. Or the other way around, I'll literally sleep at like late in the night, 2 or 3, wake up, right? Wake up like 2 hours before the due date, bodily, and be like, holy shit, hold on, I need to do this assignment. And then I do it, you know? And it was just a constant thing. And yes, it kept me on top of my assignments. It did, for the most part. But then the little things started creeping in. The deadlines, I was kind of missing them. Or stuff was getting delayed. Or, I'll tell you this, I mostly noticed it in, like, sports. So, I play cricket. Um, and for a lot of things in sports, like, in every sport I play, in every competitive environment I play, I try to be the best, honestly. And I think what's like kind of the point, if you're not trying to be the best you can be, but there's a healthy way to go about that, and there isn't. And I was doing the isn't. I mean, I was just thinking number one, and I had to be perfect. So mistakes and going out there when I wasn't like sure I could even do well, I just never did it. I haven't played that much cricket over the past few years because of this exact thing. I never felt practiced enough, prepared enough, good enough to go out there because I wanted to do the best, and it's interesting because that made me play the worst. Either, like, it just made me play the worst, and I just couldn't hit. I'm a batsman, so I couldn't hit. Um, and the revelation that started to me becoming somebody that just focused on de-stressing, the whole point is to focus on it, is because of this. In my sophomore year of high school, I played on my high school lacrosse team because a few friends said to just go there. They get, a free referral stuff for, like, inviting me to the team. It was no cuts. I was like, okay, sure. Why not? I had never played lacrosse. Never. Didn't watch lacrosse. Nothing. Okay? And I failed so many times. Embarrassingly in front of people. I passed out in front of people. I was one of the worst passers on the team for a bit. One of the worst catchers on the team. I remember one drill, we were doing a ground ball drill. So in lacrosse, you get ground balls, okay? The ball's like a roll on the ground, you have to scoop them up, okay? It's kind of like this, roughly. It's not the exact technique, but you basically have to pick up ground balls with the lacrosse stick. And the difference is I was a defenseman, right? So you get this really long stick when you're on defense. It's like 6 feet long, right? And when I was doing that, I didn't know how to pick up ground balls, which wasn't even the big problem. I kind of knew. Like, I could do it decently, consistently. That wasn't, like, the big problem. The big problem is there's a technique to toss a ground ball onto the ground, which is what we're supposed to do to clear out the zone. I didn't know how to do it. So I went up there in my first drill, and I think the ball went, like, 2 feet in front of me, maybe, trying to just do whatever the fuck I thought, and I just failed. And I remember whenever we failed, we get like like 10 laps down the field. He said, "That's 20." It was pretty bad. And I remember that practice, I got took to the sideline for a bit because the coach realized, oh, I don't know the technique, and he showed me the technique, and I did well on the drill the rest of practice. You know, in fact, I was pretty good at ground balls by the end of that sophomore season. Um, I got pretty good at decent at throwing. I got decent at catching. Defense, I was okay. I'll be honest, I wasn't that good on defense, but I could block a shot. you know. Uh, but at the end of that sophomore season, I went from somebody that never played sport to basics. But I failed so many times, and that got me out of my head a little bit. Of you, there's nothing scary about failing in front of people. It's much better to fail in front of people because you'll actually improve at what you want to get good at when you do it. And you're not scared to make mistakes because that's how you learn. That's how you get better. And that experience finally rooted in my mind because I was forced to fuck up. I was forced to make mistakes. I was forced to do that because I never played the sport. Of course I wasn't going to be good. But I was required to show up to practice. I was required to show up to games. And that was the first revelation. If not for doing that, don't think I would have ever reached this conclusion. Or I would have reached it way later in life. So now, recently, I've done a lot more failing since then. But recently, with cricket and all these things, I just realized one day that, first off, I've had 2 white hairs. I'm 19, so yeah, not great. And so I was wondering about that, like how do I have white hair? I have a really good hair genetics. My dad still has a full head of hair, and he's like over 50. So I have good hair genetics, and I'm 19. I shouldn't have white hairs. Um, and then my blood pressure was elevated, and I'm a fairly healthy dude. I work out, I do cardio, I do sports. I'm a fairly healthy dude. Definitely not the type of person who should have elevated blood pressure just randomly, and I did. And that brought up something like, what the heck's going on? And then the one day I'm talking about, I was just sitting there and I was like watching Mark Manson, and he talked about this. He said, if it's on YouTube, and he said, you have to accept that there are 1 or 2 things you can excel at, and the rest of everything you're not going to be the best at. You're going to be pretty average. And that you're not going to be good at everything. But that's okay because you're still worth it anyway. And that's the healthy mindset to have. You cannot be the best at everything. We are not anime characters. We are not superheroes. And we are definitely not inhuman. So how can we possibly be perfect or good or elite at everything? And his examples were, eye-opening. Like professional athletes, for instance, make really dumb decisions or don't really have, on the average, don't really have long, successful relationships. There's always relation drama with athletes. Or billionaires cannot make connections, personal, real connections. I mean, come on, like, look at billionaires' personal lives. Is it amazing? My point is, if you try to excel at everything, you just won't, and then you'll just become somebody that's excellent in one thing, but horrifically bad in the others. Yes, you could be the world's richest man, but you suck at communication. You suck with people. Do you want that? And I decided, well, I don't. I want to be excellent, for sure, but I realized I had to focus on 1 or 2 things that are excellent and then be okay with myself for not being excellent at everything, for not expecting that. And the second thing that helped me was there's an experiment this professor did where he got a jar. And the first thing he did was he put big rocks into it. And then he asked the students, is the jar full? And they said yes. Then he gets small pebbles and puts them into the jar that fill up the holes and the cracks left by the big rocks. And he asked the class, is the jar full? They answer yes again. Then he gets sand, pours it into the jar, and it fills up the gaps the small pebbles left. And then he asks, is the jar full? And the jar was full. What's the point of the rocks, the pebbles, and the sand in the jar? Think of the jar as your lifespan in time, okay? The big rocks should be there. Your family, your faith, what you love to do, your best and most personal relationships, the pillars of you as a human, your pillars. The small rocks and the sand. Small rocks being like the less important things like studies and, some recreational events or like a side project or something. And sand being the useless things like doom scrolling or like, I don't know, like, I don't know, name any useless thing you can think of, I guess. Those will all find its place as long as you focus on the big things. The small pebbles and the sand will find its place amid these big rocks. They will. So stop worrying so much about fitting everything in, because it will be as long as you focus on the most important things of you. And so those two things made me realize, hey, focus on what's most important to me and stop stressing about being perfect in everything and trying to be. And yes, go towards growth, grow towards improvement, 100%, like go towards it. But make sure to not put so much pressure on yourself. And the biggest thing I've found is remind yourself to have fun. Remind yourself to have fun. Smile. And don't take everything as life and death. You can do it once in a while, sure. But don't take everything as life and death. Have fun, relax, focus on de-stressing. Because if you don't focus on it, you will stress yourself out if you're used to it. Focus. I do this all the time now. I focus and tell myself, de-stress, relax. I tack a smile when I'm playing cricket. I have fun. I find to have fun. On cricket, after this whole thing I learned, I went to a game and I just focused on having fun. I was smiling, I was hopping around in the field. And you know what happened? My batting was great. My timing, my approach was amazing. And I didn't make a single fielding error. And I thought so clearly, Like, the last games when I would bat, before this de-stressing things, I would kind of just go into this zone-ish of like batting, and then I'd come out not even remembering my at-bats or anything, and I would wonder, why do I not remember it? I kind of felt calm up there. I felt calm up there, or at least I thought I did. And then I went up in that game, and yes, I had nerves, but I was just like, fun. You play with the nerves. You just learn how to play through nerves. And I remember the at-bats. I remember what I had to do, and I could think clearly. And I had fun. And cricket got so much more fun. Everything got so much more fun when I focused on this. De-stressing is one of the most important things, in my opinion, that is so underlooked. because it's not flashy. I never thought about it until Mark Manson and this Pebbles thing. And when I tried thinking to myself after cricket games, why do I not even remember at bats after, you know, I'm out or whatever, right? Until some introspection and trying to take in advice and try to apply it and see how it does, that's where it kind of clicked. Oh, like, this is something that's really important. This is a key because I can tell you personally, life and the things I've been doing are so much more fun, so much more like interesting, so much more captivating to me now that I've focused on this. I've focused on de-stressing and having fun. So much. I mean, it even got me back into this. I've been thinking about doing this for a while, and honestly, I'm just trying to have as much fun as I can. And just think about it. Like, I love talking to myself. I talk to myself all the damn time around the house, I'll be honest. But I never really thought about doing it in front of a camera because I always thought the content had to be perfect. This had to be perfect. Oh, I can't start unless my lighting's perfect and my environment's perfect and my camera quality's perfect and I have great editing. And no, I'm just gonna have fun. And I'm gonna have fun with the editing process if I decide to do it on this video. I haven't decided. Because I want this to be as raw as possible, like unscripted. I mean, the only thing is lighting. That's it. Um, and it's just me and you. I mean, I say me and you. It really is just me talking to myself, but I'm recording it. Is how I think about this, and this is something that has come up into my life very recently that I thought is important to share because it's such a hidden thing, and I haven't seen many people talk about it. But shout out to Mark Manson. If you want to know the Pebbles thing, I'm sure there's a video about it on YouTube. Uh, just search up like big rocks, pebbles, and sand in a jar. You can look in depth about what I'm speaking about. Mark Manson's a great subscribe in my opinion. I think he says a lot of interesting stuff. But I think the most important thing is try to apply it to yourself. And yeah, you'll learn a lot of things that way, trying to apply things. And this is one thing I applied, and I think it's very important. I honestly think it's one of the most important things you can do, and it's something that can slowly ruin you, and it's something that honestly you don't even realize it. I never thought I was always in a high stress situation until I focused on it, and I realized I was putting all the stress in the world on myself. I mean, my sleep has been better, studying, my mind's clear, life's brighter, time. Before, I used to think of everything on a deadline, on a countdown. Now I don't. So, it's something to think about, and I just wanted to share this because I think it is really important. The art of distressing, as the video title is going to be, um, because I sincerely think it's important. And I hope that you found this helpful. I know it's not going to be the highest quality video in the world. It's not. It's not going to be the highest quality speech in the world. But I do hope you found something from this video. It's a bit long-winded. I'm sorry. Do whatever you want. Like, subscribe, comment, everything. But honestly, I don't even mind if you don't, because genuinely, this talking is something that I like to do. I like talking to myself about these types of topics, and I'm more than happy that you're listening. that you took the time out of your day to listen to this video. And yeah, thank you so much. And just, you know, stay critical. Please, like, just be introspective, be you, and be critical.